Howdy, howdy, it's the morning howdy, morning howdy.
Hello guys, and welcome to another episode of the Morning Howdy. And like every morning, howdy. I was kind of confused this morning. I didn't really know what to talk about. So I'm deciding to talk about real estate. My family does real estate, so I have a little knowledge of the topic, and I find it really interesting because everyone wants a house or wants a place to live in, and the best thing to do is to get a realtor to help you find those houses, help you look inside the houses and whatnot, and generally get you to buy the house because most people don't know how to go through the whole process of buying a house. So realtors are very nice, and my grandma is the nicest realtor you will ever meet if you ever meet my grandma. Anyways, so there are 353 realtors in Houston, Texas. No, not Houston, Texas. In Texas. Okay, in Texas. And that's like the most in any state right now. It's crazy. It's crazy because everyone wants to sell homes. With homes, you can either make a lot of money, or you just kind of get your money back if you paid for your home and you want to buy another home. Here's the beauty of buying a home. You pay for your home, right? And say in 15 years you pay off your home. 15 years. And by that 15 years, you generally, when you want to buy a home, you look for areas that are going to increase in value over time, or a building neighborhood. So let's say after 15 years, your community's full, every house is filled, you're in a really good location, okay? Let's just say. Or, people are leaving in and out of the neighborhoods, per se. And over 15 years, your house value is going to increase because the price is rising in everything. And real estate is one of those things where neighborhood value will rise over time. Your house will be worth more money in the future if you take good care of it. Now, if you don't take good care of your house, you're gonna have to pay for a lot of things for it. But so you want to try to make money off your house in the future. This is the goal. This is the dream. This is your opportunity to do something. You buy your house, and later down the road, if you decide to sell the house, you can get that whopping cash and maybe even more. With communities that are growing and like they haven't been built yet, you can get your house for really cheap. And once that neighborhood is completely filled, your house is instantly raised. It can be raised up to 100,000. Let's just say, if you end up selling it. Just think about that. There's profit in buying a home and making your living. Yeah, I have to pay for my house, right? Oh, but it's like it's weird because you pay for your house every month. You don't have enough money to obviously pay your house full, or you would have already done it. So everyone's getting a loan. So in real estate, you usually have to have loans to get a house because you don't have all the money to buy the house, and you're gonna have to pay it or make a payment plan with the owner if it's owner by owner. And so you get into a monthly fee, and then over time that you can calculate it so 15 years has how long it's gonna take you to pay off the house. And if you deal with credit, here's the thing about credit. Since they give you the money that sits every month, right? That sits, it's gonna accumulate over time, the credit. So, you always want to be very careful when you buy a house. Apartment, you lose all your money. You lose all your money when you go to an apartment. You pay if you have a really good apartment, you pay $1,500 a month, right? If you have a nice apartment in a good area. $1,500 a month, and you live there, everything's good, but the money doesn't go anywhere. It's gone. It's to the company, the apartment complex, right? But if you buy a house, the money goes to the house. Once you buy the house, it's your house. So that means someone can buy it for the price the house is worth. Now, when a lot of people, when they do go to sell their houses, they're desperate to sell their house. They don't want to wait until someone actually buys it for what it's worth. So there's a lot of people out there the little caveman guy on all the billboards to buy your house. They'll buy your house for really, they'll try to buy it for cheap, but they'll try to, so you can get your money. Say your house is worth $200,000, right? That's what it's really worth. And say you bought it for a little bit less, like $175,000. But you see, if you sell your house at $175,000, you still get your money back. But the point is try to get your money's worth, free money, is what they call it, right? Not really free money, but you want to make something out of it, right? That's the goal. That's the goal when you sell a house, to make money for what you put in. Okay? Don't go out there selling more than what your house is paid for. You do the right thing. So, anyways, so he says, "Oh, I'll take it out of your hands right now for $125,000." He's lowballing you. He's lowballing because he knows he could sell this house for $200,000. But he can wait because you don't want to buy it so quick. You're in the need for money. So you have to be very careful. You have to make sure when you buy a house, you have a good job. You're going to do whatever it takes to keep the job so you can keep coming in with the money, because once, the house bill isn't getting paid, everything is lost. You lose everything. And it's such a big risk, because when it comes to credit, man, people be struggling on credit because they forget about the interest. The money just stays in there. People forget to pay it off all of it. They don't have a plan. They just say, "Oh, credit, I'm gonna pay it off." And what they forget about the interest, man. Interest is a killer. I'm telling you, it's the most hidden thing about credit, because people begin lost in the interest rate. Okay, and you could, for banks, good ones, bad ones, are all gonna have it. And people who have the credit, they got money coming into the card, and they always expect that money to come into the card, man, and just pay it off. But there's a lot of people who let that money stack from what's paying in, so it rides over. And that rise over money is going to keep making more money that you're going to have to pay. And the next thing you know, the credit or interest is double the amount you're making, and then there's no way, unless you ask for, a loan from somebody. Like you ask for a donation or something. Like, there's no way to catch up to that rising interest, because you've already lost yourself. How can you make more money at your job working overtime? I mean, what if you were already working overtime? Like, how can you prevent these type of situations where you're getting lost in the money? And I see it all the time. They say if a kid has $1, he's richer than a lot of people in this world right now. But yeah, maybe the next day the guy will make money, but that money has to go to the credit, so he doesn't really have money. He has negative money. In this world now, you can have negative money. People are not walking around with money. They're walking around with debt. A negative man. It's crazy. It's crazy because I've always seen this. I try to prevent my family to keep using the credit card and try to get rid of the credit, because everyone's dealing with it. I have to deal with it. Myself, I've had to, one day I noticed I had like $400 extra I didn't even know I had to pay. Because over time, if I did all the math, that's what I'm saying. I did all the math over the time, because I decided to use a credit card, and over the time, $400 extra. Think about that. $400 extra. They're just gone. It's because people who don't really think too hard when it comes to it. I'm getting into credit. I'm going to get back to real estate. Jesus Christ. Anyways, so we all want a house, and there's such great opportunities for a house. How do people buy and sell houses? So I'm going to give you some examples. People buy houses if they're destroyed, right? They're really run down, or there was a foreclosure, and, these are the properties that are like after a storm and the family moves out and they go somewhere else and they don't want to fix the house and it's done. Say the house is worth $50,000, $60,000, but it's something to work with. So you use like $20,000, $30,000 to fix it up, and you can make it look really good and repair all the damage, right? It's all fixable. You can make a house livable, very livable, okay? And people do that. They do that. They make the homes from however it was. We all see those bad houses out there, and they fix them up very, very good. We have great ways of fixing things and, replacing things. It's very easy, okay? And then they sell it for 150,000. You know, they bought it for 60,000. They put 20, 30,000. They sell it for 150,000. They do sell it for that much. That's how it works. They find one in, you know, a neighborhood, got run down. Whatever happened to the house, they fix it up very well, and they get the money. Think about that. They made $50,000. Okay, $50,000 from a house that they paid you $60,000 for. So you need, but the thing is, you need money to work with real estate. Not everyone can be a realtor. Well, people can be realtors, right? But they only make money off commission. The thing about real estate is it's commission. You might have a broker or someone who pays you hourly to do these things, like, I don't know. But everyone who does this, does it for commission. You know, the realtor isn't everyone's main job. It's their side job. People do it just so they could, you know, buy and sell houses or just learn all the knowledge, you know, so they can do it themselves. The goal is to do it yourself, okay? You want to do things independently. It's like being your own boss. Everyone, you know, you could work for someone that's nice. But the goal is to be your own boss. And that's the American dream, the freedom, you know, not working for anyone. And with real estate, you become your own boss. It's such a great thing to be a realtor and to work with houses. Because not only are you could buy your own house, but you can find people a nice place to live. Minorities come from everywhere. And they don't know what to do. And they don't want to live in an apartment. They know the money. People have common sense, and they know the money is not going anywhere in an apartment. So there's people out there, you know, like my grandma, who help the minorities find a great place to live for them and their family. So, and at a good price. The people aren't looking for the best houses. They're gonna work for it. But they want something decent. You know, they're not gonna go all out. They know where they come from. They know that you have to work in this world. Okay? And, you know, you find a nice house. It's a good thing for real estate. Real estate is a good thing because, you know, there could be bad people out there. There's always bad people who are going to be like, oh yeah, this house is great, blah, 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 blah. It's over expensive and it's really bad, and they try to get the most commission possible. There's people out there. But there's really good people who are real estate because they want to see people and their family go into nice neighborhoods, a nice place for them to live, at a good price that's not going to break their backs. Okay? But if you have the houses, you could always offer, hey, you can come live in my house. You could rent not rent the house, not rent. You can buy the house from me. You pay this over time. I trust you. You know, you can do things like that over time. You can buy property. Use the property how you want to use the property. Say you want to buy a lot and you want to build a house, and then after you're done building the house, you can sell the house and you're making some money. There's a lot of ways for real estate, and you can go big. People want to build casinos, hotels. Las Vegas, you know, they're always coming out with a new hotel. Houston downtown is always building sky houses. Right now they're building one. It's gonna look incredible. I wish I could live there, but I can't. I wish I could. Howdy do in the morning, howdy, you know, looking over the city. That'd be really cool, but I'm not there yet. And, you know, there's that type of real estate. You buy a lot for whatever price, you build it there, and you have people live in it. Okay, that's real estate. Someone owns the complex, right? So someone has to own that land. And it's possible for anyone, but yeah, it's gonna take money. But you can build your way up there. Think about Donald Trump. Just think about Trump. And he's president now. He worked with real estate. He worked with people. He's a people's guy. He wouldn't be a people's guy if he wasn't a president. Think about it. He's a president. He's a people's guy. He knows how to make good relationships. He might look like a bad guy or a stern guy, but you know he's going to do the business, right? People don't get where they are if they don't help people. Somehow, some way, everyone's helping people in some way. You could be selling a product that people need. You could be doing good service through your company. You know, but if you work for Trump, right? You work for Trump, he's your boss, okay? He's going to be your boss. If you were your own boss, it wouldn't be that way. Okay? But he makes good relation people for other businesses because he wants to have a steady source of income like anyone else. So the fact that there's that many realtors, how hard is it to be a realtor, to do real estate? It's kind of difficult. It's kind of difficult. I'll tell you why. It takes time for people want to buy a house. It takes time for you. I'm not gonna say it takes time for you to find people and tell people you're a realtor, but there's already a lot of realtors, and most people have friends or family that are realtors that will help them. You know, so it's hard to find people who want to buy a house through you and at a good time, because people aren't buying a house every day. And it takes time to buy a house. That's a process as well. And not everyone's qualified. So you could be doing all this stuff for the people, you know, trying to help them out. And then the next thing you know, they're not even qualified. They can't do it, you know? It's unfortunate. And it's hard to be a realtor sometimes because you don't have 10 people coming in every week wanting to buy a house. You can advertise as much as you want. It still takes a lot of time. You know, you could be trusted. Once you make a connection, you know, 10 years down the road, they'll call you back again. See, it's good because once you have a realtor, you're stuck with the realtor. That's what they say. If they make you live in a house, you're happy with that realtor, they're going to help you find another house. You make great connections because if you help anyone get a house, you find somewhere to live, man. That's the greatest thing. It's the greatest thing. You make great connections being a realtor. It's a great thing. There's a lot of realtors, so there's a lot of people trying to make that commission. And you know, there's a lot of houses out there, especially here in Texas. They're building houses every day. There's new apartments. People are moving out. Blah blah blah. But most of the time, people are moving in. So there's a growth for houses. There's a growth for a growing community. And you know, people, you know, after hurricanes or after people finally make enough money, they want to go into a new house. So they're leaving the neighborhoods and going into the growing communities. But here's what that happens. The houses are a lot more expensive. You know, and there's a lot more taxes on the houses now. So you make the move. You're like, I'm gonna go in this neighborhood, and then what happens if you can't live in that neighborhood? You're gonna have to try to make a process to go back, try to find that's hard because you can make a lot of mistakes in real estate. Going for a house too big. Let me tell you a story. My uncle, person I know, he buys a $700,000 house. $700,000 house. But he only has $1 million. Only has $1 million. And he buys a $700,000 house. You see, everyone can see the problem with that. Everyone can see the problem with that. It's just not going to work in the long run. It didn't work in the long run. So people are buying these houses that are so expensive, but they don't even realize the real true cost of living in a house like that. The long term, you know. It's a big investment. More money is getting taken away from you. It's just like, why buy a fancy car if the car gets you to the place you need to be, like a normal one? It's the same thing with the house. A house, what's the point of spending $700,000 for a house that's just as good as a $300,000 one? You get tricked. You fall into these traps. You play into the part where, oh, if I could do this, why not I be a part of this? You know, if this community, even though you can't afford it, you know, it's like, I'm not gonna say it's a big trick or anything, but you know, it's hard. It's really hard to. It takes a lot of money to find the best of the best. Okay. California is the most expensive place you can go. You know, there's $20 million houses, etc., with a lot of land. Here in Texas, there's a lot of land here. You know, there's a lot of farmland. There's a lot of growing communities, which is cool. Now here's the thing about selling a house. Selling a house can be just as hard as buying a house. Because who's going to want to buy your house? How well did you take care of it? So, while you're trying to sell your house, you're still living in it, right? You're still living in the house you're trying to sell. So the money isn't there. And then trying to find the right buyer. You know, for the first people who are gonna come at you are the ones who are gonna want to buy for cheap. So you're gonna have to, say no, 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 no. Then someone's gonna say, "Oh yeah, I'm interested," and they're gonna keep lowering down the price, and then they're not gonna be happy with it. There's gonna be so many people like that, right? How hard is it gonna be to find someone who wants to live in your house? You could be lucky, and your neighbor's gonna want to buy your house. My neighbor wanted to buy my house, but I'm living in it, so sorry, we can't do a little switcheroo, but it can be really hard because sometimes when we live in a house for 15 years, we don't take the greatest care, and things get old and things break, and then when you want to sell your house and then you have to repair it, and then you repair it, it takes this much amount of money, and then you only offered this much, you end up losing more money than the house is worth. So when you go into a house, man, you gotta be like some old people and always be cleaning. Always make sure everything is spotless and the walls are clean and nothing is broken, because down the road, no one's gonna live in a house forever. No one wants to do that. No one wants to find a house. So old people, they're like, there's no point in me moving around. But the young, they want to be adventurous. They want a new house. They have bigger goals. They're traveling, blah blah blah. Or they want to live in the country eventually. They have retirement plans. They have to sell their house because they're moving to another state. And the thing is, they have to sell the house. So they have to fix up the house. So there's a lot of work with that. And it's more hard to sell a house than to buy a house. Just a tad bit. Because your house isn't new anymore. Your house has experience, it's been lived in for 15 years. And for me, that's like, I don't know. What are the stories? What are the backgrounds? I want to buy a new house. So everyone wants to buy a new house. And then here you are trying to sell your house. It's a little problem. There's a little problem there. So, like the major places for real estate are like Houston, Miami, Los Angeles, New York City, just because of all the businesses and stuff, restaurants. It's a fine commodity. Let me see some other ways you could do real estate. You could just be the house-to-house realtor. You bring people to houses, they call you up, like, oh, help me find a house. You help them find a house, and the realtor gets a commission for the price of the house, because the realtor has to talk to the realtor of the house, because the realtor is helping the people, right? So you only get a percentage. But if you're the one selling houses, you can definitely tell where the profit's at. So a lot of realtors, they get stuck being just the realtor. They don't try to progress and be the one selling the houses. They just want to be the ones bringing people into the homes and finding the homes for the people. And that itself can be really stressful, because you're going around showing people's homes, wasting all your time, and then they're like, no, I can't buy a house. You just wasted so much time and you didn't get paid for anything. It sometimes sucks and sometimes hard, because you might be in a bad year. It's like winter time and no one's trying to sell their house during winter because it's cold and everyone's trying to stay inside tucked in. So you're gone from these periods of times where no one's buying a house. And it's all commission. So real estate can be, it can be pain in the ass. Like a lot of people, they want to rent a house. They want to rent a house. They want to live in a house. They don't want to live in an apartment, but they want to pay rent. So with paying rent, it's just like living in an apartment. You don't get the money back, but you do get more room, and you do get that homey vibe. But then it's not even your house. You mess something up with the house, as you're gonna pay for it. It's not even your own house. It's like that much bigger of a risk renting a house, because you still lose more. It costs more for a house. Yeah, you get more room. I guess if you have a family, it makes sense. You can't just all live in a crowd in a little apartment. You want to have the kids play outside. You don't want to be stuck around so many people. You don't want to be in an apartment. You want to be in a house. It's different. I guess it's how you want to live. But in my opinion, the best way to live is to pay for your house. Buy a house. Work for a house. Start with a cheap house. so you can go down the road and sell your house and work to try to get more money for it. All houses should be seen as an investment from a realtor's perspective. Every house is an investment. The one you're living in, and it's always good if you're a realtor to make friends, because everyone's gonna want to buy a house eventually. Not everyone's living in a house. I mean, their own house. They're living in their parents' houses for the most part, and they're not worried about buying a house. You can't really convince people to buy houses. You gotta wait for them to come to you. But that's the hard way. You can't just be like, oh, buy my vacuum. This vacuum, and it's cheap. It's affordable. People are gonna want to buy your vacuum. It's like, oh, I can spend $100 on a vacuum. No big deal. You can't go around and say, yo, let's buy a house. No one's gonna want to drop $200,000 just like that. Who are you talking to? You put random people off the street. The people are gonna think you're crazy. No one's gonna want to talk about buying homes. People are gonna come up to you very, very rarely. So people just have a sign out in the neighborhood that just there year round, just so people can remember that there's a realtor, and if they ever need to sell their houses, they're there. So when you do make a connection, make sure it lasts a lifetime, because that's what it comes down to when it comes to houses. Lifetimes. Jesus. For the most part, houses are increasing. The price of housing. That's the goal. That's futuristic. We all see things, being worth more. And with real estate, that's kind of, if you know enough, you should want to buy a house when you begin with. That's going to increase in value. So let's think about the people who experience certain events like floods. That's a big one. Hurricanes. Just think about you bought your house. You buy your house and everything's great, and then a flood, and you don't have flood insurance, and everything is ruined, and your house is damaged. Man, that's such a like out of all the things that can happen, like you're at a big risk already buying a house. It's worth a lot of money. And then a crazy event happens and your house is ruined. What now? So let me tell you a story. We sold a house, one of our old ones, and 2 years later, the house floods. The house floods 2 years later, completely, because of the hurricane. And me thinking, oh, I'm so happy I sold this house. Like, holy crap, I would have never been able to sell this house. But then what about the people that bought the house? They're like, oh, this is the greatest place to live. We always wanted a house like this. Y'all kept such good care of it. Blah, blah, blah. And then 2 years later, there was a flood. There was never once a flood ever in that area ever before. But it happened. It happened. And, they're stuck with all the damages. And it was uphill. The house is uphill and the water just rolls all the way uphill, man. It's crazy how this stuff works. And, it got flooded. And I'm happy we got out. And what are they going to do if they want to sell their house? Now they have to think about, wow, we bought a house that's already used, and now we have it, and now it's flooded. We got double whammied. It's unfortunate. It's not like I knew it was going to flood 2 years later. I'm not trying to hurt people. I thought my house was a good house. I never did anything crazy in the house. I had a lot of land. And then the next thing I'm feeling bad for the people who bought it. Like, I feel like an asshole. Like, I wasn't the one who did the deal, but I still feel like an asshole. I feel like, damn, why am I not experiencing that shit? Like, why did they be like, they're suffering so much worse. So much worse. It's crazy. Yeah, I mean, that's the ball game, I guess you could say. You never know what's gonna happen. The last thing you want to hope is a tornado and everything gets taken away. No, that'd just be awful. That'd just be awful. No, but it's so easy to be a realtor now. There's classes, you can do it online. There's always seminars. Everyone's a realtor. Google can tell you everything you need to know. It's crazy. It's crazy. There's so many people. And that's just in Texas. We have a whole country filled with realtors, and think about all the land that people aren't building on right now. Think smart. Think about all the cities that are gonna be in the future, right? Just think about that. Think about all the future cities. We know about the cities now. I mean, yeah, but what are going to be the new cities in the future? There's going to be more people. I mean, that we would imagine. If the water levels are rising, where are the new cities going to be? Where are the new hotspots? Las Vegas, came from the desert, just rose up. It wasn't there from the beginning. It was a little town. They built casinos, blah blah. Because Las Vegas is what it is today. And it could be like that for a lot of little cities, man. Some dude can come in with this huge corporation, decide to build a couple hotels and a casino. Next thing you know, it's a growing, rising city. You never know what's gonna happen. Real estate is, it's for anything, any building, any property, any land. Realtors can work on that. And it's crazy. When you become a realtor, you can access this website. Well, anyone can really access it. It's called like Hard. You get to see all the homes for sale. You get to see all the property you never get to see, and all these. Man, there's some crazy houses. There's some crazy land out there. There's crazy things to be sold and for the crazy prices you would never believe. They're selling like crazy skyscrapers and stuff. They're selling everything, man, for property wise, and you never know. You never know what you would be able to buy. And then once you buy it, like, damn, what am I gonna do with all this farmland? What are you gonna build on the farmland? Like, skyscraper. What would I have a buy a skyscraper? What am I gonna do with the skyscraper? Like, what is the purpose of a skyscraper? Instead of just having an office building. Jesus. I don't even know. But some facts about real estate. Some facts. Some facts about real estate. Damn it. Off the top, man, it's not the easiest to talk about real estate because it's like it's not an everyday thing. It's not, you could work on it every day. You could always advertise every day. You can always look at the new houses. You might have a client always asking you, working on something, but it's not every day. You don't have people coming up to you every single day. You might have people that work with you who buy property all the time. You could be a realtor for someone who's constantly buying properties or whatever. You could just be doing all their work while they don't want to be a realtor. They don't have the license for it, but there's like people who want to buy properties to, build up so they can sell it. And they use a realtor because, they have to talk to a realtor to buy the house. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, it's all possible. Real estate is very, very unique. There's a lot of different things you could do in real estate. And it's not just houses, there's commercial buildings, you could own like a lot, and you could have a bunch of buildings on the lots. You could sell by lots. All that. It's very unique. There's a lot of money in it. There's a lot of money in real estate. And there's a lot of money in land. Land is really expensive. The Louisiana Purchase was too cheap. Imagine what the price of a Louisiana Purchase would be now. Just think about how much that would be. In the billions? And it would probably be worth all of Jeff Bezos' money, roundabout. Because there's no way anyone's going to pay that much. Like, that's honestly crazy. It's crazy how much money it could possibly be worth just to own all that land in the United States. Think about land. Everything is owned. It seems now that everything is owned by someone. All the land is owned by someone. We have no free land. We can't just go somewhere and say we want to live here. Sometimes, is that even possible? Can we just go into the forest and say we live here? Generally, all the land is owned either by the city, by the state. It's like a nature reserve. You can't just go out and live somewhere. You could live in the city, in the streets. You could technically do that. I mean, But I mean, what is wildlife nowadays? There's no game out there. You can't just go around killing random animals in the forest. Like, you can't just live out in the middle of nowhere. The land is most likely going to be owned. Livable land is going to probably be owned. You know, you can live in the streets, but the streets, man, it's killer in the streets. And all the land is most likely, you know, you can't just pop up a house and just hope everything's good old and jolly. No, man. You know, how are you gonna get the water in your house? What, are you gonna have a little well? You're gonna have a well and just hope that one day no one tries to, you know, take your land, take your house? Yeah, good luck. Good luck. So everything is owned, and then we all have to worry about buying property. We all have to say we live in a house now because we were born in the States. We're not homeless. But we have to buy a house. We have a house now, but we have to buy our own house. You still have to buy a house. You're not going to just be like, oh, I'm going to go out and build my house. It doesn't work that way. You have to either buy the land, or you're going to have to buy a house, or buy a house in a growing neighborhood. And yeah, I mean, you don't want to go to an apartment. You don't make any money in the future off there. You know, you don't want to be surrounded by people, like, literally wall to wall. Like, you don't even think about it. But if there was like an X-ray into an apartment complex, and you could just see everyone, there's a four stories, 2 people are taking shits, 2 people are taking showers, 1 couple here is fucking, people are eating here and here. It's like, they're so close together, man. And like, I sometimes feel weirded out in suburbs, because in suburbs, you know, there's house to house, and the neighborhoods are so big. There's so many people, and closer than you would think. Because if there wasn't houses, you'd be able to see people, you know, hundreds of yards in every direction. You would see people. But we have houses, so we don't see the people. We forget they're even there. We forget how many people we're surrounded by. It's crazy, because there's a lot of people. A lot of damn people. But yeah, I'm gonna stop it here for the real estate. I'm not really feeling this subject too much, but you know, this is Morning Howdy, and like every episode, howdy.